Hey sneak peekers, I'm Mason Simpson on the South by Southwest red carpet for Swimming with Sharks. We're going to talk to Kiernan Shipka, Diane Kruger, Kathleen Robertson, and some other members of the cast.
In Hollywood, there are stories of love.
Not cheating.
All of this is mine, and I choose to share it with you. Success,
You thought you could spend as much of my money as you wanted, but you thought wrong.
where we live happily ever after. This, I see here, is not one of those stories.
Could you describe some of your character in the show?
Sure, I play a girl named Lou Sims, and she is an intern who will do pretty much anything to make her way to the top. She's very inspired by Hollywood, and she comes to town with seemingly nothing, and very quickly finds ends and ways to become extremely powerful to a fault. And I think it's a really fascinating study in what power can do to individuals, and the fact that Hollywood is really not pretty under all the pretty.
What was it like developing your character for this show?
Oh, I mean, honestly, it wasn't too hard, to be completely honest with you. Again, it's just like you see a lot of crazy stuff in Hollywood and you hear a lot of crazy stuff. And I personally have never been an intern, but I've heard all the stories. So, yeah, it's I just talked to some of my friends about it and just try to put myself in that position of having just to take all the you know.
So I play a guy called Marty, who's the vice president of Fountain Pictures, which is the organization, the studio. And so I'm a vice president to Joyce Holt, who is the president. And I guess I'm kind of like the character that kind of just sweeps up the you know, and never really is allowed to kind of say anything bad. Otherwise, like, his head is on the line. So I'm kind of stuck in this hard place of like having to be a yes man all the time, but then also be the barrier to kind of like putting out the fires all over the place.
Yeah.
So Travis works for Joyce Holt, played by Diane Kruger, and he's been an assistant for a long time, and he is very passionate about who he wants to be and what he wants to do. And then along comes Kiernan, and she's a bit of a threat, and so it's difficult between the two of them.
Yeah. So what were some of the inspirations for your character?
The biggest thing was that I had to figure out was, why is he in this position? Is he here because he wants to be rich and successful, or is he here because he loves film and wants to be a great producer? And I went with that choice because I think it makes his sort of clamoring for success more meaningful. It means something to him. And that was kind of the driving force of him for me.
Well, I play Joyce Holt, who runs a major Hollywood movie studio, which, as you can imagine, is pretty rare for a woman, even in these days. But it's a very fresh take on, I guess, Hollywood in 2022. It shows women in power, what it took to get there. I was mostly inspired, to be honest, by the men that I've encountered in my career, coming up. And so I was drawn to this character because it shows what you have to do to get to the top. But the uniqueness of being female and having, other objectives in life that are equally as important as trying to conceive a child, having a family, having a cheating husband, all the things that make us different than men, that's a really juicy part of the show.
What initially drew you to this project?
I think it was what was on the page and what Kathleen wrote. I think it starts with the writer and obviously the words that were on the page. I can honestly say that almost nothing was changed from the script I initially read to what you're going to see on screen, and it was just there. Like, the character was very dynamic and it was very complex, and the script was very complex, and it was fun to find those different characteristics for my character Miles and how to play that with Diane, who plays my wife. And make it as just dynamic as possible.
Yeah. What initially drew you to this project?
Well, they asked me to do it. That's nice. Swimming with Sharks is a fantastic film that I watched when I was younger, and it was fantastic. So I thought, I'm interested. But Kathleen, the showrunner, really made a fantastic new reconstruction of something that was already great. So I was glad to be asked, and it was fun.
Was the original any type of inspiration for your portrayal of your character?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all, because I think she came from it at a really powerful point of view from sensuality and sexuality, but also to make the thing that they're trying to seduce. My characters, Meredith Lockhart, they all want her to sign. And so that's unusual. And for a black woman to be put in the position of desire and having to, smooge a little bit, I loved it. So I didn't need no help.
Jumping right into it, I just wanted to hear you describe some of your multiple roles on this project. I know you're involved in many aspects.
Yeah, so I created the show, am showrunner, and I'm in it as well as an actor. So yeah, it was a lot of hats, but it was incredible. I'm super excited to be here.
For sure. And what was it like working with some of your different collaborators on this project?
It was really, it was really incredible, and I feel like it's so fun to Kiernan Shipka, who plays Lou Sims, the central, really the central character of the piece. It was really fun to sort of see her do something totally different than what people are used to, and it was a treat. Every day on set was kind of like, what's going to be next, Yeah.
Sure. This might go a little bit into the creation of the show, but why do you think Hollywood likes making shows and movies about Hollywood?
I mean, it's a good question. I think for me personally, it's a personal story because I've been an actor since I was 10. So I've grown up in this business and this world. So a lot of it for me is just sort of writing about what I know about.
Yeah. Why do you think that Hollywood loves to make movies and shows about itself, about Hollywood?
I mean, we're all so narcissistic, right? I think that there is, though, an allure to Hollywood that is undeniable. People in Hollywood, I think, are as obsessed with Hollywood as people that aren't in Hollywood, because there is this sexiness to Los Angeles and movies, and that being a really huge way of storytelling. Obviously, storytelling has existed for longer than film has, but I think films and television shows are such important parts of people's lives that it really just resonates, and it's always going to be a major cultural thing in our world.
It is juicy. Like the stories, everybody talks about the curtain, and it's definitely, there's many situations that ring true and are true, but it's also relevant for just in any type of work, because women are more and more in positions of power, and they are finally executives, and they are the masters of their own universe, right? So hopefully somehow it will resonate with other women.
Yeah, for sure. And talking about that resonance, do you have any advice for upcoming filmmakers and film students right now?
Just believe in yourself. I always say the one thing that no one can take away from you, whether it's in Hollywood or in another domain, is your talent, right? So try to keep the noise that's around you out and just keep in the work, do what you believe you are good at and just work on that, and don't let anyone tell you differently in a way, because they're all going to try to mold you. They're going to tell you, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that, but just keep course.
Beautiful shot. Thank you all so much.
Beautiful. Yes, well, thank you so much.
It was a pleasure to